Tell us about some of the efforts of the MPD, men and women, on the day of the fire, the extra efforts you had to go through.
You know what? I'm absolutely humbled by the incredible work of the men and women of the Maui Police Department, both officers and non-sworn, our dispatchers. Our dispatchers fielded over 4,000 calls that day between 911 calls and text 911. The officers, we were also up country fighting that fire, which has been to the people up in Kula ignored a little bit, but there's a lot of people that lost lives, but that's the one that was mostly the area that was concentrated up until the Lahaina fire had sparked again and come back. I know these stories are coming in day in and day in and day out. I do know that what people have done that I'm hearing is the officers drove around with their PAs telling people to get out of their house. If people refused, they actually got out of their cars and pleaded with people to leave the area.
And follow the rules, what people tell you to do. Okay, don't come down here, don't come there. So you're only doing, and everything's blocked off with cones or that orange. Yeah, so.
Did you see, I've heard other eyewitness accounts say that there was cop cars that were blocking the streets. What were they using to block the streets?
That's why I don't know what they were doing, like why they were blocked like that. If you went looking up Lahaina Luna Road, like in the middle of that intersection, there was like cop cars blocking there. So you couldn't go up that road at all. And it was just too much smoke coming down anyway. So I get it. But it just was crazy. Like, I'm glad we got out of it, and I'm glad I have a home to go to, but...
I know officers came. I have an officer from Kihei, drove in, grabbed a severely burned individual, drove them to the hospital, then drove back to the scene and helped rescue a family of 4 and got them to safety. I know of officers that helped break down gates because there were areas where they couldn't get out. I also know officers
Where were those?
Those were in the Lahaina Luna area.
What kind of gates?
I haven't gotten exactly, but I heard that they just couldn't get out. And so we had a fire break done with hoses, garden hoses, to protect Lahaina Luna schools, specifically Lahaina Intermediate School. And so I'm not saying that's the reason why that school is still there, but that's a big deal. And so the efforts that they did, it's incredible. We're still hearing about it. It's still coming in because truth be told, we don't have time to hear about these stories. We've got a lot of work that we're still doing. And they're out there day in, day out. I have people that haven't even taken a day off in 2 weeks. And so we need to get them some of that ability to just get a little bit of downtime, because they're going to get batteried right back in, and they're going to go and do the incredible work that they're doing. And so I can tell you this, I don't think there's an agency that has shown more grit and resolve in the face of what they're facing than the men and women of MPD, period.
And you're getting some relief in from the other county police departments?
You know, the county police agencies within the state of Hawaii have been fantastic. I've got folks from HPD as well as Hawaii County here right now, and with some of the other things that are going on, their level of commitment, their support. I had all 3 police chiefs as well as other law enforcement leaders getting a hold of me as quickly as possible, offering whatever assistance they can, and it really means a lot.
Now, it goes without saying that nobody would do anything less than their absolute best or their absolute best practice that they knew on the day of the fire. But in retrospect, has anything been learned already, even in these 10 days, that could have been done differently by MPD and will be done differently in the immediate future in case of another mass evacuation, fire, hurricane? We're still in that season.
So listen, that's a really good question. And I think the fact that we know we're dealing with at least 111 and counting fatalities, for me to say we would not do something differently, or anybody to say that, is not the right answer. You want to constantly look at what's working, what's not, and how can we get better. That's what we've been doing for the better part of 2 years here. We're going to certainly do that with this.
Maui Police Chief John Pelletier has been on the job for about 7 months now and has racked up 7 official work environment complaints. The employees who filed the grievances don't want to speak out because of fear of retaliation, but former ranking officers speaking on their behalf tell me one involves a woman who was cursed at during a meeting, and that working under Pelletier has led her and several others to seek help from psychiatrists and anxiety medication.
But here's the thing is you revert to your training when you have a critical incident. You revert to your training. And the men and women of MPD are the best trained, most resilient officers and staff in this state, period. And their give a darn factor is incredible. And their resolve and their ability to do this is unlike any ever, period.
Maui Police Commission finds some of the complaints against Police Chief John Pelletier unworthy of disciplinary action. This after a unanimous vote Wednesday. The commission reviewed 3 of the complaints made by Maui Police Department employees against the chief, which alleges violations in policy and procedure.
Investigations concluded that 2 of the complaints were not substantiated by the evidence. The 3rd complaint was not substantiated to all grounds with the exception of an incident involving raised voices and unprofessional language.
The commission took into consideration all interviews and documentation. It also inquired help to thoroughly investigate the claims.
Independent third-party investigators were retained to fully vet allegations of violations of county policies made by 2 sworn officers and 1 civilian employee of the department against Police Chief John Pelletier.
The commission heard from concerned members of the community about the allegations.
This isn't about discounting experiences. This is about showing that instead of providing a space to heal the trauma of real experiences, MPD workplace culture only deepens those wounds through political, reactive action that is convenient or beneficial to further agendas rooted in egotistical power grabs.
How are they faring? Are any members of MPD missing or unaccounted for? Have they lost homes or loved ones?
Look, that's a great question, and that's one of the ones that we asked immediately, as far as the leadership here is how are our folks affected? I have 15 officers and other employees that lost their homes. And so, but here's the thing, they lost their homes and that very day. In fact, I have people that lost their homes, they knew they lost their homes, and they were still out there saving lives. And so you're making sure that your family and your loved ones has been passed off to somebody, and you battery yourself back in there to go and do everything you can to make sure that the community is as safe as it can be. These are heroes, and they're doing everything because they just love their community. And so in the days and months and years to come, because certain things take years to really figure out what's the effect. We're going to make sure we take care of them and we're with them just as much as they're with us.
Now, MPD oversees the morgue, handles missing persons reports. Our multiple resources, we've been able to verify about 1,000 still missing or unaccounted for. How is the process of tracking that list improving?
So we've created what's called the MINT, which is the Morgue Identification Notification Task Force. And so what we want to make sure that we do is, as we recover our loved ones, there's a certain medical process for the forensic exam and the different things that are taking place. And so as far as it just relates to that, we've got our doctors, we've got our x-ray techs, we've got dentists, we've got the best fingerprint experts in the country just came in today. We've got artifacts that are being collected, gone through. We've got DNA that's being done, and we've got the experts in the field, and that's just for that component. Plus, we have an investigative component. We have got experts from local as well as our federal agencies and federal partners that were coming in to scrub all of the missing persons reports, because what we're saying is these are unaccounted for. Right? These are unaccounted for, and that is a different distinction than a missing person, right? They are unaccounted for. And we want to make sure that those that are unaccounted for, that we're doing the best investigation to figure out where they're at. We didn't have cell phone coverage, we didn't have Wi-Fi, we had folks that were staying at different shelters, and so we're trying to narrow that down. Our federal partners, specifically the FBI, has done an incredible job helping us get all the different data components together. So we've looked at open source, we looked at different reports, we looked at some of our stakeholders such as the Red Cross. some of the things that the colleges had put together. I think the original open source was from some college students, and they're going back and forth on all those, and they're layering them to make sure what's valid, what's not, how can we improve, because this event and all the different parts of this event are continually evolving, continually pivoting, and it's very fluid. But here's what we're doing is every day we're asking ourselves, how can we continue to improve this process? Because we've got loved ones that are grieving, and we know why we're doing this. Make no mistake about it, we know why we're doing this, and we've got one chance to get that part right, and we're going to get it right, but we're going to take our time. And that's the key, is we can't rush certain things. And so we're going to do our best to get the recovery and get those remains, but we've got to do our best to do every step of the way to the best of our ability.
In my colleague Christy Tomashiro's story just yesterday, we witnessed the Galinato family being notified that their father had perished. Your officer was so compassionate delivering the news. I cannot fathom the strength that it must take for your men and women to do that possibly hundreds more times. Right. How did they prepare for that? And what support are they getting for what is sure to be their own trauma?
Gina, I'll just be honest with you. I don't think anybody in the world could have ever prepared for this as far as the notifications. I am blessed to have folks on this agency that have the strength and resolve that is really legendary in a sense. And I grabbed the lead individual that is tasked with this, and I actually grabbed him and I told him, I said, I'm about to ask you something that nobody should ever be asked. The fact that some of the folks that are leading the investigation notification component of the task force that I related to you are fatal traffic officers, and so they're used to going to fatalities and making that notification. In addition, we have our CID detectives, and they're used to going to victims of violent crime and making certain notifications. We also have our peer support, our chaplains. We have a robust chaplain and peer support team that has come in from not just the other counties, but other states. I have doctors that are on staff, if you will, that are the best in the field. They're here with our people, making sure that they're okay, making sure that they've got that support. Because here's the thing, and this is what I was referring to the other day at the press conference, is we're going to have to make at least 100 plus more notifications, at least. And again, it's still rising. And so we've got to, one, do that with dignity. We've got to make sure that we are timely when we've got that information. And that's why I can't stress enough for people to go to the Family Assistance Center, which is now moved to West Maui. It's in Kaanapali. It's located at the Hyatt. And we've got a Victim Information Center, which is now commingled with the Family Assistance Center. And so if there's a question, if there's an issue, please go down there. There's resources there. There's the ability to get the DNA testing made available. And we actually have some of the DNA samples from the mainland coming back. We actually received those today. So family members that were concerned, now we're in pocket with that DNA, and we're continually running that through.
Now, a lot of people had questions about the time that was lost those first few days after the fire, getting adequate supplies out past Lahaina. People resorted to boats, to jet skis, to bring it in themselves. Some people living out there told me, I'm scared to leave. I don't know if I can get back in, and I don't want to drive my kids around Kahikili, the risks of that. Now, what was MPD's role in the timing of that bypass road's viability as passage, not to go into the impact zone, but just to pass? And how can those kinds of issues be better balanced a little more quickly in the future?
So let's just actually take it to the event. I needed to get people out of it, and I needed to get first responders and emergency crews into it. And so that needed to get managed a certain right way. And just like we talked about before, there's a difference between need and want. And if you need to get out there, I want you to get out there. But if you just want to go, that's not what West Maui needs. They need people that are there to help out with the situation. And so the work that we got to see from our community and the ability for the donations and supplies that have taken place, and the love and support that this community has shown this community, nothing on the planet is equal to the love that we've seen here in Maui County, in Maui and West Maui specifically. And so we made sure that residents that wanted to leave could leave, when we made sure that emergency supplies that could get in, got in. Okay. And now you see that the roads are open just fine, because we were able to help mitigate that need versus want.
Has there been any reported increase in reports of burglary, trespassing, robbery, the kind of reports you might associate with looting, which is a very real fear for people in any time of crisis? Or conversely, have those reports gone down? Is the Aloha spirit at work? What are you seeing in the numbers?
Well, listen, the Aloha spirit is real, it's true, and in the 10 days since this happened, we are down in total crime 54%. And I say it because there's so many people that want to sit here and spin a narrative and say, oh my goodness, look at this, and there's looting. And we don't have those reports. We've got reports of people that are doing everything they can for their families, for their neighbors, for their friends. They're doing everything they can. And that's the real story. You know, it's not a sensational story. And let's just be totally honest. I'm happy that we're talking, because you're from here, you're a part of Hawaii, and we've got incredible people that are here to try to tell the story the right way. But there's also people that, when this is done, they're going to pick up and leave. And so who's the one that should be telling the story? Those that are parts of this community, or those that are going to try to manipulate and use this community to sensationalize it? Bottom line is, this community is safe, this community is compassionate, this community cares about each other. The Aloha spirit is not just something people say, it's something that is real, because people can feel it. They live it, they breathe it, they embrace it each and every day.
Well, from incident commander at the nation's deadliest mass shooting, Las Vegas 2017, to police chief after the nation's deadliest wildfire, did any aspect of that Vegas tragedy prepare you for this?
I think it's actually a fair question. I'll tell you this, though. The honest answer is, I couldn't do this if I didn't do that. And I couldn't have done that if I didn't have some of the assignments that I had and some of the situations that I had. But this story right now has to be about Maui and the men and women of MPD and the community here. There's an incredible group that I got to be blessed and privileged to work with in Las Vegas. The group that I get to be with here now, I would take that team anywhere. Some of the most incredible first responders, partners, members of the community, elected officials, citizens, nurses, doctors, ever are here right now. And I could not be more proud and more blessed to be with them. And the ability to take this horrific problem, which we are still very much in, and to look toward the future, whatever that is, I would not want to be anywhere except for standing shoulder to shoulder with my community here now.
Right. You're a chief, you're also a dad. I know for me as a mother, some of the most gut-wrenching things are the stories about the children lost and the children affected by what they've lost. And you're a father of
Yes,
twins.
yes.
How are you and your family doing? And how does your role as a dad inform what you do?
Gina, that's a human question, and I couldn't do this if I didn't have the support of my wife and my kids. I just couldn't, period. I couldn't have done, 1 October, but, they're great, incredible kids. I've got the greatest wife on the planet, and I gotta just tell you, they're there for their friends, they're there for their community, they're doing an amazing job for what they have, but I do know that there's a lot of people that right now, they don't have anything. And I mean, they're borrowing clothes. They don't have a home. They don't have the ability to know where their next meal is coming from.
Or they lost a child.
And we don't, we've got those issues too. And so whatever anybody has right now, that's a lot more than a lot of other people who don't have.
Well, President Biden and First Lady Biden are coming on Monday. How has MPD prepared for this really unprecedented visit to the Valley Isle? What can the public expect for any roadblocks, motorcades, and restrictions that might be on for that Monday?
So we're still crafting the plan, and obviously we're not going to put some of that stuff out until it's appropriate to do so. I can assure you this, I've been told in the briefings that I've had that the desire to have the impact is to be as minimal as possible. So as we craft that plan, I think that'll be the case. MPD will be supported by HPD as well as Hawaii County. The resources that are coming will be more than adequate to make sure that the President of the United States, the First Lady is safe, but as well the community is safe. And I think it's really important that certain people do see this, because let's be honest, this isn't a little thing, this is a big thing. And there's a commitment by the government to make sure that this is not just built back, it's built back beyond what it was, because we're talking about the future, not just for the people here now, but the future of where our kingdom used to be, and we're going to make sure that it's respected, and that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. So if people that control those purse strings can come here and see it, well then so be it.
I appreciate our time to talk together. But at the press conferences, it's gotten a little tense. You've stood out with a firm voice. What you can and can't do, the do's and don'ts. The governor even said something to the effect of bringing you out every couple of days to yell. What message are you trying to get across in that setting?
Well, here's the deal is, this is unlike anything we've ever seen. And we've got to make sure that we're firm but fair. And I shouldn't have to say what's right and wrong, but unfortunately I do sometimes have to say what's right and wrong. And the reality is this, is I am blessed to be the police chief and to have the incredible women of MPD. But I'm not just the police chief for the men and women of MPD. I'm the police chief for all of Maui County, all 168,000, and all the visitors that come. And it's my job to protect each and every one of them and to make sure that they're treated with respect and dignity, and that as we do this thing, we do it the right way. And so if it means I got to be a little firm and some folks don't like it, well, bottom line, I didn't come here for you to like me. I came here to do this job to the best of my ability, and that's the oath I swore, and that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your time and for your service.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Here. Maybe it's different for you because you just got here, huh? So it's not the same. It's not the same.
No comment?
You have to look up what photo.
No comment right now, guys.
No comment?
Yeah.
Talking to the chief, sir.
Yeah. I understand.
Why doesn't he want to speak to the people? Only to a camera.
You can do your statement later.
No, we called up. We've been looking for him. I thought we were going to do Top Story Tuesdays all over the island. Coffee. Haven't seen him. Been looking for him for a couple of years. What happened? Can you explain Pono to me again, sir, and Aloha? I'd love to hear it from you. Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head, sir? You don't want to answer, huh? Okay.
We'll talk to you another time, guys.
Yeah, you won't talk to us another time. That's the thing. It's a very cowardly move. Shocking.